Hayden.
I'm Lucas.
And we were challenged with the task of creating a map for people who are living with cerebral palsy that have an assistive speech device. So basically to give you a premise and basis of how prevalent CP is in America, there are currently around 746,000 people who do live with cerebral palsy. And out of this number, there are around 20% of people who have a speech impairment. So when people have a speech impairment, it's their choice whether or not they want to use an assistive speech device, but along with the assistive speech device does come the use of a mount. So when we were at UCP, we met with a woman named Markeisha, and she is someone who is nonverbal and she does use this assistive speech device. And she is very social, very outgoing, and she loves to communicate with people, but it's very difficult without her assistive speech device. So having this mount is very important because otherwise it'd just be sitting on her lap and it could fall and get damaged this way. And so the mount that is currently out there, it is hard to find a mount that attaches to multiple different walking devices. As you can see, the McLaren stroller here has thin square rods, while this K walker has very thick and circular rods.
There are pre-existing mounts on the market and they have a lot of issues. Namely, they're heavy, they can be more than 6 pounds. They're expensive, they can be upwards of $300, and they're hard to adjust. Some people with CP can only use one arm or one hand, so it can be difficult to adjust for them, and obviously you need to be able to adjust at different times of the day.
So we had 4 big criteria that we wanted to cover on our prototype and our final design. So the first one of these criteria was affordability. As the groups before us have said, these mounts, one of the example mounts that they use a lot at UCP is $325. And for a lot of people, $325 for just a mount is a lot of money, considering how hard it is to use also. So we really wanted to stay below $100 for our prototype and for our final design. So the second goal we wanted to go for was having a lightweight mount. One of the most used mounts at UCP is like 6.6 pounds, which is enough most of the time for small strollers for small children to actually tip over because they offset the center of gravity so much that it's hard for the child to actually use their walker with such a hefty mount. So we wanted to try to stay below 5.5 to 5-ish pounds so that it wouldn't offset the overall weight of small walkers and strollers so much. Another point we wanted to touch on was simplicity. And for this, we really aimed for one-handed use because not everybody with CP has the same motor capability. And a lot of people may not even be able to use both their arms or one arm. So using it with one hand and with as much ease as possible to adjust it to the exact specifications of what someone might need was a big point for us. And finally, we wanted our mount to be versatile. We wanted to be able to be compatible across multiple walkers, strollers, you name it. And we also wanted it to work with various speech devices, tablets, no matter what their weight or size was, because devices in this market have no standard for size or weight, and same goes for the walking devices. They have different size pipes and different shape size frames.
So based upon these main 4 goals that we have, this is an overview of our design. And so starting at the top, the red is the attachment of the assistive speech device to the mount. You have the arm with the joints that allow movement and adjustability, and then you have the grip on the bottom. So starting with more details on the grip, it will kind of be similar to a clamp and based off of a clamp. And the mouth will be circular, and it will have foam on both sides of the mouth so that a thin square rod can fit into it, but also the thicker circular rod can also fit into it because the foam will then move to the shape of the rod. So there's a handle that the person can squeeze with one hand to tighten it, and then there's a little lever right underneath the handle that can just loosen it by tapping on it. And the bottom part down here is just a little room for more adjustability, and the top, at the very top where the black hole is, that is where the arm will stick into the grip.
So the actual arm that connects the clamp to the attachment to the tablet is made up of 2 different types of things. The rigid section of the arm and the joints. And the rigid section of the arm is three sections, two being 9 inches and one being 12 inches. We ended up going for our final design, we would use aluminum tubing, as it was light and relatively cheap, but it's also very durable. And for our prototype, we used PVC because it was easy to prototype with. For the joints, we used a pretty simple design that can rotate in 2 directions and then sits on another plate, so it can rotate. It can spin around at 360 degrees. It relies basically upon the friction between the two pieces connecting it together. It can be tightened. The bolt can be tightened or loosened relatively easily.
So for the interface between the tablet and the actual arm, we designed these 2 plates, so a female and a male plate. And what would happen is, I can actually show you. Is the male plate slides into the female plate, and there's also a pin that goes with it. And the pin goes through, sort of similar to Adam's design, and it locks the plate in place. And so the speech device would adhere to one plate, and the other plate is always fixed on the mount. And so this allows for easy one-handed attachment if the mount was firmer than it is right now for prototype. But this would be made in the final product, would be made of ABS plastic, which is a 3D printable plastic. So it gives us the exact specification that we need with an accurate printer. And it's also, it stands up to the elements very well, so it's a great solution for long term.
So here are just some final pictures of our prototype in detail. And thank you for listening to our presentation. The foam in the clamp part, does that break down over time? We were thinking that we could, so yes, but we were thinking that in addition to this, you could just have spare pieces like a foam that would come with them out, so you could like reattach it to it.
And they would just like glue
Yeah,
in?
like sticky adhesive.
Okay. And then the other 2 joints?
So all these joints are the exact same design. So they swivel in this
Right.
direction like everybody else's,
Right.
and they also spin on the plate. We all do the exact same joints. And they have screws across this way to tighten this way,
Okay.
and then the plates are bolts. The bolts are already tightened, so they would stay at a set.
And so
At a
those
set
were tightened
resistance.
from the rotation?
And so ideally there would be hand knobs at the end of each bolt, so you wouldn't have to have your own special tool.
Gotcha. Okay. I think that's it.